Today on Judge Faith, this landlord wants his back rent.
I rented an apartment to Crystal Freeman, who started off as a great person, and she moved out and left me with a sizable bill.
But this tenant says there was more to the relationship than just landlord.
He's all over my Facebook page, worried about what guys I'm talking to, asked me to lift up my shirt. I told him it's gonna be business or it's gonna be pleasure.
This lease is completely blank. Nothing's filled in.
And later, who is responsible for the bite that took the little dog's eye?
She is the only person that could have prevented this.
The eye had popped out of the socket, and not only that, he had blood all over his paw. This fella tells me it's common that dogs' eyes pop out all the time.
So he lost his eye?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Victor Franklin is suing his former tenant for unpaid rent, utilities, and late fees. Defendant Crystal Freeman says they came to another agreement regarding the rent.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Franklin versus Freeman.
Thank you, Barbara. Victor Franklin?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Crystal Freeman, for $2,150. You say she owes you for unpaid rent, late fees, and a utility bill?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell me what happened, sir.
Judge Faith, we're here today because I rented an apartment to Crystal Freeman, who started off as a great person, and she moved out and left me with a sizable bill, which we're stuck with, what I'm stuck with today.
Okay, what kind of apartment complex is it? Do you own a building?
Yes, I own an apartment complex.
And where is this located?
It's in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
It's a 12-unit apartment building, all one bedrooms.
Okay, and how did you meet the defendant and come to lease a place to her?
Back in April of 2013, I had an apartment for rent, and I put out an ad. She called, she came over, we did a pre-qualification over the phone. Everything checked out okay, seemed to be a great fit, hardworking, single person. So we arranged to start a lease. She moved in, and everything started off well.
Okay, do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? And how much did she agree to pay in rent every month?
$395.
So month and year that she moved in, please?
April 2013.
Wait a minute. Okay, this lease is completely blank. Nothing's filled in.
Yes, so I was looking for the actual signed version of the lease. I wasn't unable to find it, so this is the standard Missouri State lease that I use for
Okay,
all my rent.
no. Do you have the lease, the contractual agreement you entered into with the defendant?
I do not have a signed lease.
Do you have one?
No, I didn't sign anything.
Okay, so you're saying you never signed a lease?
No, I just moved in with my money was ready and I just moved in the same day.
How long have you been a landlord, sir?
I've been a landlord for about 6 years.
It's interesting because she's saying she never signed a lease, and is it just a coincidence that you don't have one?
Yeah, it is a coincidence that I don't particularly have a lease in this situation. That is my standard lease that I have for all of my
Right, well, I don't
tenants.
need this. I'm gonna give this back to you.
Okay.
I know what lease agreements look like, so I don't need to know what your standard is. If you're suing for rent, you don't have anything in writing, so in my mind, I don't have a lease in front of me. It may not even exist.
Yeah, so I have
So-
I have receipts for the initial move-in that states that it's for first month and deposit.
So she moves in, and what happens?
So she moved in, and the first several months, things were going well. Kind of when I go through my initial screening, typically when a female moves in, single female moves in, kind of some of my key questions, okay, what's your relationship situation? Because typically there's gonna be a guide that follows.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason being, there's typically a guide that follows soon after.
Why is that your business?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just, why is that your business?
Again, so I've typically done this for about 6 or 7 years, and typically that is where the issues typically come from.
Do you ask your male tenants if they have girlfriends
I do.
or if they're dating
I do.
someone?
I absolutely do. Because it's typically where I'm renting to one person, and then there's, in a couple weeks, there's several people who are living there.
So you said that initially she paid rent, everything was fine.
Yeah.
What happened? Just give me the rest of the story.
So probably after about 4 months of being very consistent, she was late on 1 month. She didn't pay. Then it went for a second month, and she didn't pay. And then I get a call from a gentleman, and he says, hey, I'm going to pay the rent for Crystal this month.
Okay.
And I'm kind of taken aback. Okay, who are you? I don't know who you are. And he said, well, I'm going to take
Why
care
do you care? He's paying the rent. He's paying, like,
Right. Well,
I don't care if, I mean, it could be her dad, her uncle, whoever. Why does it matter as long as you're getting
Right.
the money?
Right, but it didn't come through her. So either way, it worked out. He paid the rent. She got back up. We were on good terms again. And probably another 2 months or so, it kind of dropped off again. And I think it came out, hey, well, I'm not working anymore.
What month and year is this?
This is now October of 2013.
So does she eventually pay what she owes?
No, we never got back on track after this point.
What month and year does she move out?
She moved out in March of 2014.
Okay, and you're
was,
saying that she didn't pay rent from what month to what month?
November, December, January, February, and March.
Okay.
Coming up, Judge Faith knows there's more to this story.
Why would you be taking your tenant to dinner and drinks, someone that you rent to?
Right.
Someone you say who is behind on their rent. Why
Well-
are you taking them out to dinner
Well, at the time,
and drinks?
she wasn't behind, Judge.
Yes, I was.
And later,
I tried my hardest. I hated to see him lose his eye.
How's he doing today?
At present, you know, he's not himself. He's not his normal self that he had been prior to this incident.
plaintiff Victor Franklin is suing his former tenant for unpaid rent, utilities, and late fees. Defendant Crystal Freeman says she doesn't owe the amount in question.
So you agree you were supposed to pay rent, and how much were you paying?
I know the rent was $395.
Okay.
But I paid him all last year. I didn't pay him, you know, the beginning of this year.
January?
And February.
February and March. Okay. Why?
First of all, he was like a creep. He was all over my Facebook page, worried about what guys I'm talking to, asked me to lift up my shirt. And like,
So wait, did the two of you have a relationship beyond landlord tenant?
we didn't have like a relationship, but we had went on a date. And like, I told him it's gonna be business or it's gonna be pleasure.
And what does that mean?
It's gonna be business or it's gonna be,
Well, you
I'm gonna
let
pay.
that
I'm gonna pay or I'm not. That's not
No, that's what I want to know. So
Yeah.
you're saying that you told him you're going to pay or
Or
not,
not.
because
This
you
is-
guys are.
we didn't have sex and you know.
You did?
Yeah.
The two
So,
of you. The
I'm
two of you had
asking you-
sex.
No, Judge.
Yeah. Excuse me,
No.
ma'am. I'm not gonna lie.
So she's saying that the two of you went out to dinner. Is that true?
We met at the same place for
No,
drinks.
don't look down. Look
No,
at me.
No. Okay, so Judge, we met at a restaurant. We had dinner and drinks.
Why would you be taking your tenant to dinner and drinks? Someone that you rent to. Someone you say who is behind on their rent. Why are
Well-
you taking them out to dinner
Well, at the time,
and
she
drinks?
wasn't behind, Judge.
Yes, I was.
She wasn't behind at the time, Judge.
Are you saying that you spent the night together that night?
No, we didn't spend a night together. You know, it was a wham bam, thank you. I'll see you the next day. You know.
Okay, Judge. So that part is not true.
I'm not gonna lie, Judge. Sorry.
When you ask someone, do you have a boyfriend? Okay.
More to the story,
Are you
yeah.
in a relationship?
Okay.
And the next thing I know, you're taking her out to dinner and for drinks, and she's saying, I never signed a lease. I have a tendency to believe her because you don't have a copy. She's saying she didn't have to pay rent because you were looking the other way.
Well, I've got a ledger of the 5 months of consistent.
Don't care, sir. Don't care. I actually believe her. I believe that she said that the two of you had an intimate relationship. I believe that as well. I don't know if you're using your position as a landlord to try to get a date. I don't know what you're doing. But if you're gonna wear the landlord-tenant hat and you think you're gonna come into court and sue someone for not paying rent, then you need to take your job seriously and not mix business with pleasure. Because as of now, I don't believe you. So your case is dismissed. Judgment for the defendant.
Plaintiff Gina Tenadine claims one of the defendant's dogs attacked hers and is suing for vet bills. Defendant Gail Kenslaw says his dogs were on leashes and the plaintiff is responsible.
Gina Tenadine,
That is me.
you are suing the defendant Gail Kenslaw for $5,000 for vet bills that resulted from a dog fight. You say your dog was injured?
Yes, my dog had been injured on February the 9th. That afternoon, I personally brought to the park my own dog.
To the dog park?
To the dog park.
All right.
So I personally parked the car. I brought my dog out of the car, and as I had just parked, I
What's
saw...
your dog's name?
His name is Jesse.
Jesse? Okay.
Yeah, so I saw this fella, Mr. Kinslaw.
The defendant, but did you know him before that
I
day?
never had met him prior.
Okay, and what happened?
I happened to see him walking his 3 dogs, and I thought my dog could personally just briefly interact with his dogs.
Was your dog on a leash?
He had not been. That was my only at fault. But, you know, in the dog park, they don't have to be leashed. But the deal was my own dog, you know, he's a friendly little man. He likes to associate with other dogs and stuff. And I personally thought this would be a great time for him to personally...
Were his dogs on a leash?
He had dogs on leash, but let me say, I felt he was not responsible owner. He did not contain his dog. He did not restrain the dog that attacked my dog, who injured the dog's eye.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me see a picture of your dog, Jesse, right? Okay, is this your
that's
dog?
a normal picture of him. Yes, he's a beautiful dog.
He's adorable.
Yes, he is.
He is adorable.
Yeah, he's a lovely little man.
And what's the history with this dog? You wrote in your complaint that he actually models or he's won awards?
He had gotten in a deal. He was in a professional photo shoot. This woman took photos of my dog and stuff. So yes, he is in the June picture of this calendar. But after this eye loss, he no longer can endure.
So he lost his eye?
Next on Judge Faith.
He's like this, and to me, it was like a care without a care in the world. To me, he did not even show that, you know, he didn't show restraint. He did not even show discipline for what my dog had encountered.
Plaintiff Gina Tenadine claims that one of the defendant's dogs attacked hers and is suing for vet bills. Defendant Gail Kenslaw says his dogs were on leashes.
Sir, did you witness what happened?
I was there.
Okay.
But I saw it afterwards. I'd been in the dog park. I'd come out of the dog park with them on the leash.
So your dogs were on the leash the entire time?
Of course.
Okay.
Because once you leave, you're like in public. You have to have your dogs on a leash.
And you submitted a Google map, right, for us to
Yes.
see this location? Okay, let's take a look at it. Okay, so tell me what we're looking at here. You want to walk over to the map?
Is there a pointer?
You can just point to it
Okay.
and...
Okay. The dog park is this part here, here, and here. I had left the dog park and I was over here and I went to the trash can.
And you left your dogs on the leash tied to what, your car?
No, I had my dogs with me on the 6-foot leashes. Her dog was about 4 feet from my dog. And there'd been something happen, an altercation, and her dog was yipping
Okay, you can
and
step back now.
feeling bad. And Miss Tenadine said that my dog had knocked out her dog's eye. Now, I couldn't see that initially, but I go up and what do you know? It was true.
His dogs are on a leash, so how does your dog goes over to his dogs?
Yes, he was walking. He's like this, and to me, it was like a care without a care in the world. To me, he did not even
let's
show
get back to you.
that, you know, he didn't show restraint. He did not even show discipline for what my dog had encountered. I mean,
What exactly did you see happen to Jesse, and what were the extent of his injuries?
well, the eye had popped out of the socket, and not only that, he had blood all over his paw. This fella tells me it's common that dogs' eyes pop out all the time. He personally said that, and he said the vet would be able to put it back in. He brought that to my attention. He also brought to my attention that this dog was blind. First, he said it was protecting the mixed Shih Tzu, which later, after the incident, the mixed Shih Tzu even came up and sympathized with my
What kind
own
of dogs? What kind of dogs are your 3 dogs?
Okay,
let's see a photo.
A Chihuahua, a Shih Tzu, and the sheep herding dog. That's what I'm told.
Oh, these are such cute dogs.
Now,
So
if
do
the
you know
kennel dog is
which
the
dog?
dog that she said reached out and raped her dog.
He told me his dog has come
So
out.
no
other
one
dogs with
really
the teeth.
saw which dog did what in this incident, correct?
No, from what I thought, I saw the paw. He assured me it was the teeth, and like I say, he told me that his dog had come
but
out
I
other
guess that
dogs.
really doesn't matter. The issue is your dog was injured, and you said that he lost his eye. And do we have photos of him?
Wait, not at first. I brought him to the 24-hour clinic. It happened in the afternoon, and the surgeon. That was once it was
Oh my
stitched.
goodness.
No, that picture is after the eye had been enucleated.
How's he doing today?
At present, you know, he's not himself. He's not his normal self that he had been prior to this incident.
Okay,
That, like
all
I
right. And so his eye is better now, and I understand you brought him to court today for me to see him. Barbara, would you go get him? I mean, I'm really sorry that this happened to your dog. It
so am I.
certainly.
Yeah, and I mean,
certainly
I've
seems
had
like
to
a
pay for
tragic
surgeries that I
situation.
didn't anticipate I'm paying for. I live in a studio apartment with him, and I had to devote my time to
you
this
take
little
him to home.
fella. I mean, he looks 100% better than he had prior, but I mean, this guy has been through the ringer. He really and truly has. After the first
You wanna
stent,
bring him up to me?
Yes, I will bring him up to you. So,
Let me just take a look at him. You can just bring him right here.
I will let you know, after the first surgery, he had the stent in his eye. And not only that, the eye was very inflamed, and he had a bulge, and they had to put stitches
you can
to
sit
try
back down.
to
You wanna-
try to,
Barbara, you wanna take the
restrain
dog?
the eye and stuff. And anyways, yes, and my dog too, you know, after the enucleation too, his eyelid bled for a while, and also too, my dog had, you know, he had been through so much trauma.
Let me see the medical bills.
Yes, you may see everything. I have everything right here.
Okay. Barbara's not here, so it's totally fine. You can walk back to the
Also, too, my dog had to be on a special diet. And also, too, my dog, I tried my hardest. I hated to see him lose his eye. I went to an eye specialist, too, to see if there was
Barbara, would
any
you hand that back to
resort. I really wanted my eye to,
All right,
my dog's
hold on
eye
a second,
to
ma'am.
be
Hold on a
saved.
second. So, what's your defense, sir?
She is the only person that could have prevented this. From the moment she got out of the car without having the dog on a leash, as required by law, she had no control of the dog. The dog did what the dog did, came over to my dogs, and apparently got involved in some sort of a dog altercation.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
This is a part of my job that's really tough sometimes, because this is one of those cases where there's just no real winner. I have a person in front of me who took his dogs to the dog park, had them on a leash,
But he didn't control them on the leash.
ma'am, and he didn't do anything wrong.
His dog did. He told me his dog had struck.
But dogs, and here's the issue, dogs are dogs.
Yeah,
They're
but
animals.
If his dog has come
and
out
they
others
do,
with teeth,
ma'am,
he should not bring it to a
ma'am,
park. It's a friendly atmosphere.
listen to me. Dogs will do what dogs do. It's about what the owner did. And if the owner was negligent, and I don't have that here. I have someone who acted responsibly with their dogs. He had his dogs on a leash. Your dog was not on a leash, and you allowed your dog to go over to his dogs because you thought it would be a friendly encounter.
Right, but we're at a dog park, miss.
Ma'am, and under the park laws, and under even California law, your dog was supposed to be on a leash at that location.
I always carried him. I've never really put him on a leash. I always carry him in.
He had his dogs on a leash. You didn't, ma'am. My judgment in this case is for the defendant. Good luck.
That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right.
Okay, go ahead and gather your documents.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so hold on, wait here.
That's
Annie,
not
go ahead
right.
and step
That's
up.
not right.